Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to some more replays, some more OP replays. Now that I'm going to be doing a few more OP replays, we don't want to just see tier 8, tier 9, tier 10 all the time. Let's drop down a few tiers. Let's see some decent battles in tier 5. Yes, tier 5 OP replays, people bossing it in tier 5s. So we've got two replays, one which is an all-time favorite for new players, that is the KV1. Now of course the KV1, back when I started the game, this was the tank that everybody grinded. This is what everybody went for. The main line was this line. It was the KV1, the KV1S, the IS, and so on, all the way up to the IS7, because that was the most popular line in the game by far. So let's have a look at these tanks now, because the tank it got nerfed. Actually, the armor profile got nerfed a while ago, and after that nerf, it's just, you know, it's not the same tank. Now, as you can see, I think the replay file is just a bit off. So I do apologize for that. That's not me. That's just the replay file. There's no hacks involved. Of course, there's no hacks involved. People don't hack, especially something like this. It is just the replay file being bugged. So yeah, I mean, there is still use of the KV1, of course, but the art of playing this tank is you have to angle. You really have to angle, and I think it was the side plates, the side that actually got weakened, so that you couldn't angle it as good as you want to put. And look at this replay file, it's actually quite funny. That's why I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it on there because it does actually look really, really funny. Getting shots there, maybe it is hacks, maybe they are hacking and we don't know about it. Imagine that. So yeah, you can still do damage in this tank, but you can't bounce as much as you used to be able to do. So you can see, is he going to get this shot? What shot's he going to get? Wow, look at that. Wasn't even looking. You know, that is just some crazy shit. And watching this, like, you kind of look at it and think, is it the replay file that's actually bugged? I definitely don't think it is is hacking. I don't think it's hacking. Now, if I watch other tanks shoot and they actually shoot as they're shooting, then yeah. But you can see here, it's that gargoyle there wasn't even looking. So it is actually 100% the replay file that is bugged out. So yeah, I mean, you still have to angle this tank. If you don't angle this tank, then you will be penetrated from the front. The front plate is not that strong. Of course, coming up against tier 4s, yes, you can get some bounces. Of course, you can get some bounces. Our guy here is up to 970 blocked damage. Now, a Matilda is not really a tank you want to be bullied by, because it's still a very strong tank, got great DPM, and you can still destroy the KV1 very, very easily. But our guy here is now on 2.1k damage. He gets a bounce, not a good bounce. It's a 3 versus 2, so I couldn't, you can't really see this going in any other way than a green victory. So he's pushing this Matilda now, because of course the Matilda is capping the base. He needs to be there and he needs to stop the base being capped. But yeah, the Matilda doesn't seem like he wants to look this way. This is actually, I got these replays from BlitzStars. So of course, Hall of Fames being on BlitzStars, they have to have 5.5k battles, and that stops people from starting a new account, getting in the newbie matchmaking, and then just farming damage. So BlitzStars obviously put a minimum battle count of 5.5k. So these ain't battles that people have just sent me from very new players. These are people that have actually been around and had more than 5k or 5.5k battles. So yeah, these ain't just playing against bots. These are actually real people, believe it or not. You wouldn't have thought it with that Matilda there. So now just the Churchill left alive. Now I absolutely hate this Churchill. It was one of my first, I think it was my second tier 5 that I had in the game. And back then, of course, I didn't know how to play the game. I was absolutely useless. But the tank actually sucks. In my opinion, the tank really, really does suck. You can get a few troll bounces on the thing. But yeah, the turret is literally where... The front plate is quite strong. but the turret is actually, you can see there, it is pennable from pretty much anyone. So our guy here, 2.7k damage, should just be a one shot now if he can get a nice roll, and he does do that. So still 1500 block damage. Not sure what that Grizzly is doing. I think he was AFK, but a very good game. And yeah, I mean, that is lower tiers for you, and that's sometimes what you can expect in lower tiers. So moving on, let's hope this game, this replay file, isn't as bugged as the first replay file. So this one is the Sherman 5. Now, most Sherman tanks are actually pretty good tanks. Now, of course, again, this is a tier 5 tank. It doesn't have much armor, but it's actually not a bad tank. It's actually quite good. Most of the Sherman tanks out there are actually quite good, and they are enjoyable. They are very enjoyable to play. Of course, it's got speed. It's got DPM-ish, but it doesn't have that much armor. Of course, again, when you're up against tier 4s, you can get a few bounces, especially on the turret. So our guy on the new map is pushing towards the left side. Now, lower tiers are actually a bit more difficult to get damage. They're a bit more difficult to get aces. I don't know why, it just seems harder to ace a tier 5 than it does a tier 10. You can get sort of, sometimes you can have an amazing game in tier 5, but it's only a second or first class. Now, yeah, you have to do some big damage to get some aces in the lower tiers. And what makes the lower tiers harder is there are so many fast tanks. There are so many tanks with, like, I mean, this game here, there's 3 light tanks and 2 medium tanks. And you always get that. There's not that many heavy tanks back down the tiers, sorry. Tier 5, of course, you will come up against some heavy tanks, but you go further down, sort of to tier 3s, you don't get that many heavy tanks in those lower tiers. So he's pushing the middle here. The replay file seems absolutely perfect on this replay, so thank goodness for that. So the first shot, he has to be careful now because there are still a few tanks that have not been spotted. You got the SU-85 here, good tank to get rid of. It's got a dangerous gun, just like the whole line. The whole line of that SU are pretty dangerous, but now he does have to be careful. Luckily, the AT2 there, that is a very troll tank in tier 5. We talk about the AT15 line, how heavily armored they should be, but they're not. And especially something like the AT15, the Tortoise, and so on, they're not as armored as they should be. However, the AT2 in tier 5 is heavily armored. Literally, it is so strong. In the right hand, it is so strong. And when you come up against sort of newer players in the game, they really don't know how to deal with the AT2. However, when you've got sort of 4 or 5 tanks around you, you can't really do much because it is a slow tank, a very slow tank indeed. So again, there's quite a few tanks around here. Just got to be very careful. But they're hiding behind a hill, which is good, behind a rock, and the team are actually coming through. Bad mistake there from the SU-85, and he gets gone, which brings it now down to a 5 versus 5. There is, of course, the Crusader, the Churchill. The Crusader is actually, again, a very good tank in tier 5. Got good DPMs, got a good gun, and one to be to watch out for if you come up against. But, of course, the Churchill 3 there is now a one-shot, so clearing him has to be the main priority. Not sure what that Hydra is doing up there. He's just sitting there in the open. And this is why we love tier 5. This is why we love tier 5, because even after people have had sort of a few thousand battles, sometimes they still have not got a clue how to play this game. And that's no offense to them. Of course, they're new players. They can be new players. Some might just go down and try and farm because they're not good players and they've been around a while. And to be honest, I was one of these. I was one of these that played tier 5 for a very long time because I wasn't comfortable in going up a tier. I was enjoying tier 5 and I didn't want to go up any other tier because I wasn't ready. Not a lot of people do that now like I did. Not a lot of people sort of sit at tier 5 until they are ready. Of course, you do get the players that go down to tier 5 just to farm win rate, just a sort of seal club, as we call it. But yeah, there's not many players out there that stick to tier 5 until they're ready. Not just a seal club, but because they're not ready. But yeah, I mean, it does happen. But a lot of people are actually playing low tiers to Seal Club for that dirty little win rate of theirs. So he's now a one-shot. He hasn't bounced a single thing yet. No idea why that Kehoe just drove straight past. He could have killed this guy, but he decided he wanted to drive down and go for a leopard instead. So 3,000 damage now, which is already incredible for a tier 5 tank. I remember back in the day, I've got a few games that I got sort of 3.5k damage. I've got the Angry Connor. I had Hall of Fame in the Angry Connor for a very long time. It might still be there. I think it was like 2nd or 3rd now, but it was number 1 for a very, very long time at 3.5k. And I also had a Hall of Fame in the Excelsior as well, and that might still be there. One of the all-time highest games in the Excelsior, again at 3.5k. So Justice Grizzly left alive, but he still needs to be careful because he's still a one-shot to this guy. Yes, he's a tier 4, but again, it is funny watching these battles because they just don't have a clue. And when you look at these battles, it's like, you used to be one of these people. You used to be one of these people. I don't care what anyone says that you're watching now that don't really have a clue. We was once one of these guys, but luckily we spent time and played the game, and we've been playing it now for absolutely forever, and we have got a little bit better. But some enjoyable games there for you. Only because we never see these lower tiers. I mean, they kind of get left. When we look at the Hall of Fame, we always look at sort of tier 7 maybe, tier 8, tier 9, and mostly tier 10. But none of us, especially YouTubers who do replay videos, we never look down tiers. So that's why I've done this today. Of course, I will look at other tiers as well. I'm going to look at tier 6 and maybe tier 4, and maybe let's see what tier 3 videos that we can do, because we are going to start doing lower tiers. I do read the comments. I don't reply to everyone, and one of my comments the other day was YouTubers don't do lower tier reviews no more, and it will be good for new players. So I will start doing that. I will start going down tiers, especially sort of tier 2s, tier 3s, just for the newer players as well. So that will be very, very soon. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69. Let me know if you want these lower tier replays as well, because they are funny. They're not as enjoyable. They're not as high damage as, of course, the upper tier, but they are enjoyable to watch because people just don't have a clue. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.